Hello, friends. Welcome. I'm very glad you're here with me today. So, can you believe it is already a week into August? I tell you what, the summer has just flown by. I, my daughter's getting married in October, so we've been very busy and we have lots of things going on, all of it very fun, but I can't believe how fast the summer is going by. So I think school starts here next week, which just blows my mind. So I've really had a great time this past week and I've enjoyed creating the slimline card that I'm going to be sharing today. So let's go ahead and switch our camera and take a look at it. Okay, so here is the card that we're going to be making today, and we're going to be using some fun products to do this. And it says, "You're my favorite peanut," and you open it up and it says, "Wishing you the happiest of birthdays." So for me, I did make this a birthday card, but this train is so versatile. I am looking forward to using it in so many different ways, and we will talk about that as we continue. So let's take a look at the rest of the products. This is the Build a Slimline card die set, which gives you this great kind of wavy stitched edge around your panel, which I love. Then the two stamp sets we're using are the sketched elephants and the linking train, and I just loved pairing these two. To do our train, I also use the No Fuss masking sheets, which if you do not have any of these, highly recommend them. Fantastic. Hello, Sharon. Glad you're here. And then I also pulled out the wavy toner card fronts, and we're going to foil one of these, and that just adds just a little bit of shine to our card. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to save my two stamp sets out because we are going to be using those. But the very first thing that we're going to do is our foiling. So I have my Mink machine behind me and I have that heating up. And we're going to be foiling this piece right here. So I have gone ahead and cut down a piece of rose gold foil. And I'm going to place that right over the top. And I also have just a piece of regular white cardstock that I like to place inside to kind of give it just a little bit of a shim. I find that I get better results when I have just a little more thickness in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down, smooth that down, hopefully get out any wrinkles or air pockets. And now I'm just going to go ahead and send this through my Mink, which is back here behind me. All right, while that's going through, I'm going to go ahead and show you the inks that I'm going to be using. I'm going to stamp my sentiment in Aquatini from Catherine Pooler, and I'm going to distress the edges just a little bit with some squeezed lemonade, and I'm going to be coloring my images with some Copic markers. So those are the colors that we'll be using. And to get the panel ready, I went ahead and I cut out a white piece of cardstock using the slimline die I showed you. And I went ahead and stamped these two pieces of the train and colored them in advance. But we are going to stamp and color this piece together. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my Misty and place my piece right down in here at the bottom. So when I'm doing masking, I always think about what do I want to be on top. And for this image, what I want on top is the hat. So I'm going to just kind of place my hat right here. Not going to stamp it yet. The next piece I want is my elephant's head. So I'm going to go ahead and place my elephant head just right on there where it might go. And then the last piece that I'm going to want is my little train car. I'm going to put my glasses on here. So, hi. Yeah. So when I place my train car, I know that I want the wheels about right down there. So I'm going to raise this part up. And I'm just looking to kind of see, do I have my elephant sitting where I want him? Okay. So I kind of, oops. Okay, now I'm going to sit my elephant down so that his feet are right there. And now I'm going to get the placement of my hat, I'm putting it underneath this stamp. So now I know my hat is in the right place. So I'm going to take those out. Pick that up, and we're going to go ahead and stamp this in some Copic friendly ink. I realized today I kind of need to either buy a new one or add some ink to my stamp pad. I've had to stamp it many times. So now that we've done that, we're going to talk a little bit about the No Fuss masking sheets. So we've all seen several videos using the No Fuss masks that match some of the stamp sets, and those are already pre-cut for you to totally perfectly match the images. But there's still a lot of supplies that we have in our stashes that do not have the No Fuss mask that match them. So these are No Fuss masking sheets, and they're nice large sheets, and you just pull them out, and I've gone ahead and pulled one out and cut it down in size. So what I like to do when I first get one out is to go ahead and separate it. And once I get it separated, I like to pull back the sheet. Now this is the side that has the sticky on it. This is the backing paper. I like to take my scissors and make myself a few cuts into that backing paper. Wherever I'm going to be stamping my image that I'm going to cut out, I like to do that first. And that makes it much easier once you cut out that image to be able to take the backing paper off. So now I would just turn that over, and I'm going to take my little hat right here and just going to stamp that down right onto my masking paper. Whoops, guess I better add some ink. I talked so long, I think it dried out. There we go. That's kind of an important step. You have to add the ink. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now that I've got my hat stamped, I can quickly cut this out. And let's see, yeah. And now, of course, I'm not going to, well, yeah, I'll just go ahead and cut this one to be my mask that I'm going to use. I have one that I used prior, but I'll just do this one again. It's easy enough to cut out. All right, and by making those little cuts in the backing paper, it's going to be much easier to remove it instead of fighting with trying to get the corner up. Because when it's the corner of the sheet, you can get it separated pretty easily, but the image from the middle of the sheet can sometimes be a little difficult. So I find putting those little cuts in the backing paper saves me time and, well, I don't want to say frustration because I don't really do frustration in card making, but see here, I have it already cut, so we'll just take that off. So that's my tip of the day. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and mask my hat. Excuse my head if it's in there. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and put down, and again, I'm going to set my little car right there so we get this exactly where we want it. Going to add he's got some little hairs that stick up, and I want to make sure his little hairs are inside the hat. So hopefully that makes sense. I think that's about right. I also want his little feet to kind of be parallel because I want his little feet to sit on this. So you don't want to just lay him down and stamping, or you might have an elephant that looks all cockeyed on your little train car later. So it's kind of, you got to kind of make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing there. Okay. Here we go. We'll go ahead and get him stamped. So tell me there in the chat, how has your summer been going? Is it yours just flying by like mine is, or do you feel like you're ready for school to start? All right, so now that we have the elephant, I'm going to go ahead and mask him with the mask that I used earlier. And I just stuck that. And that is one of the great things about the Whimsy stamping masking paper is it's sturdy enough that you can save them and use them again. And I like to just stamp them right on the back of the stamp packaging so that I have them and I will use them until they wear out. The most important part of this mask is down here at the feet. The rest of him, if I don't have it lined up, it's not going to matter so much because nothing's getting stamped up there. But right down here, I want to make sure I've got that just right. So now I'm going to set the car down. And there we go. All right. Go ahead and do this one twice. Make sure get a good impression. There we go. Pull that off. Take that out of my Misty. There we go. I think we're done with that for a while. And we're ready to reveal. So let's go ahead, and I like to take my little awl or pokey tool, whatever you call this, and use that to just run along the edge. And that helps me from tearing it because I do like to save these and use them again. There we go. And gonna do the same right over here. All right, there we go. Now, you can see, you've got a mini vacation planned to Charleston. That sounds like fun. The last time I was in Charleston was when Hurricane Hugo hit Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. That's the last time I was in Charleston, but it was a beautiful weekend and we enjoyed it. So, okay, I'm going to come back in with a black pen. This is a small tipped Faber-Castell. And I'm going to connect right here so that it doesn't look like that he's just floating above. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line and put a little box and then a line. I'm going to do the same right back here, and all I'm doing is linking my cars together. So just like that, we have our train connected. So now let's do a little bit of coloring now that we've done our stamping. So I am going to be using Copics, and I'm going to start with my grays. And to start with my grays, I'm going to use the N3, the N2, and the N1. And I'm going to go ahead and just start all the places where I would have the darkest, any kind of shadow. I'm just going to go ahead and color that in. Now I'm going to come in with the next one. Let's see, there's, oh yeah, N2, there we go. And just blend those out. And I'll go ahead and trace around, and I'm just going to do some flicking there. a little bit of shading here on his nose. The rest of his feet. And maybe just a little line down this side of his face. So I'm a pretty simple color, as you can see. Now I'm just going to finish it off with the N1 and pretty much go over everything that I've already done and continue it on out. All right. Now my last thing on this that I'm going to do with my N3 is just go ahead and do the wheels. And I'm also going to do these little squares that I made. There you go. Come back with the N2 just so they match the other pieces. All right, so we're done with the grays. Now I'm going to move on to the pinks, and for the pinks I'm going to be using RV14, RV13, RV23, and I will come in at the end with some RV11. But I'm going to start with the RV14. And all of these little bolts, I guess you would call them, or dots that are along the wagon, I'm going to color those in this hot pink color. And on his hat, a couple of the stripes I'm going to do in pink. There we go. Now we'll come in with the RV13 and blend that out. And now the RV23. And when I do the RV23, I'm going to go over everything else that I've already done, blending that together. Okay, now for the RV11, I'm going to do his little toes. I'm also going to put some color in here in his ears. Now I'm going to come in with some E00. And I'm going to go over the top of the pink that I added in his ears, coloring in the whole rest of his ear. And I really like animal ears done in this way. Now I'm going to do a very thin line on top of that and going over the places where I think it should be the darkest. There we go. This is also, I'm going to put him just a couple rosy cheeks. And a little bit of line there on his nose. All right, so we're done with the pinks. The next colors I'm going to be using are for everything that's this pretty teal green. I'm going to use, hey, how are you, Nancy? Yes, I feel like a stranger. It's been a long time. I'm going to be using BG13. BG11 and BG10, and I use those colors to do all the parts that are this kind of teal green color. Now again, I'm going to start with my darkest color. And I'm just going to add that wherever I think there should be shadow. Now I'm also going to do up here where I made myself room under his body, and I'm going to go ahead and color that in. Maybe, I think I'm just going to color that in the darkest, all of it. Okay. Now the next color is BG11, and we'll just blend that on out. And the final is BG10. All right, I'll come back with the 11 and add just a little more that darker color in there. Okay, now we're done with the teals. For my final colors, I'm using some yellows. I'm using Y15, Y13, and Y04. And again, I like to start with my darkest color. And on the inside of my staircase, I'm going to add this darker color. I'm also going to put a circle around the center of the star and right here for my hat. Now I'm going to do the Y13, and just like my others, add that. Put a stripe back there, finish coloring out my stars. And my final yellow is the Y04. We're just going to color everything else that's not colored in. All right, there we go. It looks like I did forget one little thing. I'm going to come back with my BG10, and I'm just going to color the little pom-pom on his hat. All right, now in the stamp set we have, whoop, for the train, let's grab the train. I have some little puffs of smoke. So we're going to go ahead and stamp some puffs of smoke. And I'm just going to do that with a block. And I want those to just be right above there. Okay. And I'm going to use the N1 to just put in a little bit of shadow. And the way I like to do smoke is to just kind of swirl my pen around so there is some light and dark. So you can see that this is all colored up now. So one thing I like to do, I'm going to come back with the BG70 and we're going to trace the whole thing. And you may not think, like on the camera, you probably can't even see it, but trust me, it really makes the image pop on the white paper when you add this shadow around the whole thing. And this is a very light color. I'm going to do inside the windows as well. I'll hold it up when I'm done and maybe you'll be able to see that. Now a lot of times I do this in a light blue, but because my images are teal, I didn't like the blue next to it. I felt like the blue pen that I would normally use, it just didn't, it kind of clashed. But this BG70 worked just like a charm. This is exactly what I wanted. Still gives that shadow without you know, clashing down in there. So all the way down in here, we're just going to go around everything, even my smoke. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to hold this up and see if you can actually, do you see around the elephant especially, you can see just that light shadow? Makes a big difference. And I forgot to do inside this window. All right. So I still didn't want this just to be a plain white paper. So we're going to quickly add just a little bit of the Distress Oxide and squeezed lemonade. And I'm going to get some on my brush here. Then I'm going to wipe a lot of it off. And I'm just going to go around the edges. And what this does is it really highlights the pattern that the die put into the paper. And it's okay if it gets up on my image. This is just providing a little background. Just a little bit of shading around the whole thing. Oops. Isn't that sweet? I love what that does. Just provides that nice little shading just around the whole thing. I love it. Okay, it's such a simple thing to do and it makes such a big difference. All right, are you ready to see our foiled piece back here? I sure am. Here's our foiled piece. And we're just going to peel that off. Oh, looky there. Oh, you can't see it. I'm going to save this piece because I can use that again to make another foiled piece. Maybe we'll do that in another video, but that pretty rose gold, I'm going to try to hold it so that you can see it. There you can kind of see it a little bit, and that's really going to bring out this pretty pink color that I have on here. So there we go. Ah, I love it. So little girly. All right, so I am going to stamp my greeting real quickly. On the front, and then we're going to do one more thing before we move on. And I wanted this to say, "You're my favorite peanut." And I'm going to place that just right in here. There we go. Now, I found it's best if you can avoid stamping on the dotted area, but if you can't, it's okay. But I do like it best if I can fit that where the "You're my" is down below that dotted line. Feel like you get a little bit better impression. You know, Nancy, I feel the same way. That's why I pulled them out to make this card, because I'm like, you know, I love those foil toner sheets. I love adding that little bit of shine to my cards, but yet so often I just forget to pull them out. So I wanted to use them on this card. This card is actually for a little girl, and we actually call her Peanut. Her mom's been calling her Peanut. And she has a stuffed animal that is an elephant that she just loves. So that's why I made this into a birthday card. But I also thought this would make a great, like, welcome baby, like if you're going to a baby shower or something. I also think if you colored it up in Christmas colors and, you know, turn this into a Christmas hat instead of a birthday hat, this would be a fun Christmas idea. So, okay, let's go ahead and before we glue this onto a card base, I'm going to cut out the center of this fun piece because we're not going to need the whole thing in there. So I'm just going to cut out the center. And it doesn't have to be exact because it's going to be covered up. Okay, I think I went far enough there. Yeah. All right, well, that one end. There we go. Okay. So we're going to use this on another card today. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece down and we will finish up this card. And then we're going to make a quick little bonus card. Okay, so I've already made my card base here on the inside and I stamped my sentiment inside and added a balloon. I'm just going to color my balloon up using the same pink colors that I used on the inside, or on the outside, sorry. And now the RV23, we'll just finish coloring the whole thing. Go with the whole thing. Okay, so there's our balloon. Aw, thank you, Sharon. Now, you could see there on the back, my marker went through this paper because I'm not using Copic friendly paper. So I can add a piece there. I totally forgot about that. But I can add a piece onto the back and that will cover that up. All right. Okay, the very last thing that I'm going to do to this one is I'm going to take a glue pen, which any glue pen will work, and I'm going to add just a little bit of glitter onto each piece, and you can just run your glue pen over the parts that you want to be glittered. And take your glitter and just sprinkle it over the parts. And there we go. You're my favorite peanut. Wishing you the happiest of birthdays. So, when I have little bonus pieces, I went ahead and colored up the other image in this stamp set. And I'm just going to take this piece and glue it down to a card front. Just like that. Because these card panels, they are a little bit of an added expense, but it's fun to use them. You know, on this design, you just see that hint of the shine. But on this one, I'm going to add him, right, her, I guess this is a her. And you know what, there was one other thing. I'm going to add just a little bit of the yellow behind her. And stand her right here. And then choose a sentiment. And for this one, I'm going to choose the sending you a gigantic thank you. I'm going to stamp that right here. And I think for this, I'm just going to do it with a stamping pad. And this may not work super well just because I don't have my VersaFine ink over here. And this one seriously needs refilled. So we'll see how this works, but you get the idea. Let's get a little more ink. All right. Hopefully. Ah, not bad. Okay. So this card is just to kind of use up my extras, but I also think it would have been fun maybe to put a circle behind her. But you can see that using up your pieces from the inside is a fun way. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed making these slimline cards and this little bonus card. I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera back. Thanks so much for being here with me today. All of these products that I used today are listed in the video below, and you can just click on the links there. Do give us a thumbs up. It definitely helps distribute the video, and it just gives us so much encouragement, so we love it when we get those thumbs up. And all your comments, thank you so much. And let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to pass on. I don't think so. I think I've got it. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Oh, I forgot to tell you, and since I was coloring today, I wanted my camera to be a little bit closer to my images, but it made it lower in my head, so I'm like trying to hide here behind my camera. But anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I look forward to scrapping with you again next week. Have a great one. Bye-bye.